everyone, it's us, Under the Hive of Madness. We are here with our first Red Squig painting contest since we relaunched the contest. So if you are catching this for the first time on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a rundown. The only thing that you need to do in order to join one of our contests is to join us on our Discord server. There should be a link down in the description that you can follow right now. As soon as you join up to our Discord, you just go ahead to the contest section. You should be able to see the most recent rules and the most recent entries. The way that we do our painting contests is pretty simple. We do 4 of them a year. They're essentially quarterly. However, we treat our first quarter as Halloween because we're spooky dooky. So this is our first one. And then our second one generally falls onto Lunar New Year or right around Lunar New Year. Our third one falls into the spring equinox or spring celebration. And then our fourth one falls into summertime, which I guess would technically be the equinox celebration because the summer.
So you're doing like, we're doing like Samhain, Beltane.
Essentially. Essentially. It's all because of Halloween, though. There's no other reason other than we like Halloween. But so, yeah, that's how it works. We announce what the subject is. In this case, the subject was something Halloween-y. And then everybody sends us in a picture through the Discord. Everybody sends us in a picture of their unpainted model. It can be primed in Zenithal, but it cannot be painted yet, along with a title card that has their name, the date of their submission written on it, as well as whatever secret phrase we have. It's essentially, if you're familiar with like Reddit verification, it's a Reddit verification card. We need to verify that this model was unpainted. And then generally speaking, there's a little over 2 months to paint.
So it's enough time for you to get it sent off to your commission painter and get it back.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, exactly. It's enough time for you to kit bash. If you haven't kit bashed yet, it's enough time for you to base coat Zenithal and go ahead and get all the nitty gritty done on it.
You can do base coated in Zenithals with the original picture also, if like you want to,
if you already know what you're doing.
And it's already started to be, and you're kit bashing and all. You can get all that in and do it ahead of time.
Then once they're submitted, we go ahead and have our audience vote. Everybody on our Discord votes. And we have that split up into a couple of different ways. If you're a regular Discord user, your vote is worth 1 point, and you get 3 of those you can cast. If you're one of our moderators, you get 3 points for each one that you cast, and you can cast 3 votes. And then if you are a member of our Patreon, you get 3 votes as well, and those are worth 2 points. I did that kind of in a weird order. So if you're a regular Discord user, you get 3 votes. Each of your votes are worth 1 point. If you're a Patreon member, you get 3 votes. Each of those is worth 2 points. And if you're a moderator or part of our social media team, you get 3. Those guys get 3 points and 3 votes. Then we go ahead and we tabulate all that together. And then we sit down and we go over everybody's submissions ourselves. We talk amongst ourselves. We put our ratings where we want them. And then we do this recording. So the way that this works is we're going to go through everybody's submission and talk about them in brief. Everybody also submitted us lore. If you submit us lore, you get a couple of extra points. And then after we've done all of that, we'll go ahead through our ratings. Our ratings are super, super simple. And well, not simple. Our ratings are the differentiation, I guess. They're not simple. They're the extra spice there. So we get 3 votes apiece. Our first place vote is worth 9 points. Our second place vote is worth 6 points. And our third place vote is worth 3 points. 3, 6, 9. Damn you fine. It's kind of a theme with the podcast. It's just sort of stuck around. So that's how it works. Again, our first place vote is worth 9 points. Our second is worth 6 points. And our third is worth 3 points. So yeah. Here we are with Fabulous Bill up first. And let me pull up his lore stuff unless somebody's got it handy. Rotgus felt the growing hunger within itself. It had been ages since its machine spirit had been awoken from the putrid river of pus within the conquered world of Nurgle. The steel and chitin that made up its ancient hall ached and whined in dull protest as the bulbous and bolted flesh of its internal demonic flesh began to fill and pour forth from its infernal engines. Rotgus once again feels the call of war in the name of the Grandfather. So here is an overview And got some.
It's gonna be a yikes from me, dog. Yeah, this is the fun thing about chaos vehicles, right? They're gross.
Oh yeah, I love all the skulls and the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
The weapons being chained up is pretty great too. That the extra eyeballs being added. Always going to be a fan of that.
Extra eyeballs. How many eyeballs does a
normal Rhino have?
Land Raider normally have, yeah.
Right. It's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool Land Raider. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next up, we've got handicrafts. Transmission report, October 15th, 3000 something. Mercenary company Comstar Irregulars recently came across a mech of unknown origin on planet Redacted in the Redacted system. It was discovered in the repair bay on an abandoned ship with markings of unknown origin. It appears to be of redacted origin, according to Redacted. Documents found in the bridge included its name and specifications. Blueprints specifically tied to this mech also found under lock and key in the repair bay. Prospect and funding for this mech to be reproduced are high since it appears to be and contain lost technology. Upon further inspection of what was left of the document, mech was identified by the name of Bullshark, designation BSK-MAZ. That's probably the reason why it has a shark-like grimace painted below the cockpit. Probably a fun nod to its name. From the blueprints, and various methods specifications were identified as follows. It is a assault class. Its weight is 95 tons. Its structure is endo steel. Its weapons are 2 LB-10X autocannons, 2 Ultra AC-5 autoguns, 4 ER medium lasers, and 1 unidentified cannon. Note, upon booting up the mech and examining its computers with unidentified weapons mounts on its back is called a thumper artillery cannon with a max range of some number of miles, a redacted number of miles.
Oh.
It appears to be a scaled down version of the thumper artillery piece. The weapon was test fired on targets a redacted number of miles away, and the results were as follows. Targets, dummy targets, and mech too expensive to repair. Results, blast crater, redacted feet across, and redacted feet deep. But, you can't repair that mech, so I guess it doesn't matter, right? It wins. Dummy target, completely annihilated. Mechs, not working or salvageable. Report conclusion. Mech and blueprint taken to Redacted in the Redacted system for further study under heavy guard from Comstar Irregulars. Redacted has decided to try and reverse engineer this mech chassis for use in future conflicts. Weapons were studied closer by scientific associates with House Redacted to be manufactured by various companies. After scientific study concluded, mech left in care of Comstar Irregulars company commander codenamed Handy. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, he's got a further note. Mech has become somewhat of an urban legend in conflict Comstar Irregulars have participated in, since those that survived the destruction and initial artillery barrage often think an entire battalion was responsible for wiping out their cities, military bases, installations, and companies of mechs, when in reality it was just a lance that included the Bullshark. A few survivors said events that had encountered the Bullshark recall a large dark gray mech of unidentified origin with a shark-like grimace. Survivors later went insane due to nobody believing said events ever took place. Any media or transmission associated with BSK-MAZ are to be intercepted and classified. Mech must remain an urban legend like the Black Marauder until further notice. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the. So, I used to read BattleTech. I've never played.
Okay.
But this is a BattleTech mech. And so it's only about the size of a Space Marine.
Yeah.
Give or take.
That's like a 32 or a 28 millimeter hex base.
Yeah. And I did good with the camouflage on it. I like the lore too, by the way. I think 40K needs mercenary companies. I mean, technically that's what a rogue trader is.
Yeah.
But I think mercenary companies, obviously they couldn't have Space Marines, but if they had some sort of solar auxiliary, like elite forces that you could use, maybe gen modified. I think that would be a cool addition to the lore. Just saying.
I think they could. I mean, so one of the things that we've brought up in the past, but I guess we've never really deep dived into it, is the Cicadrix Maledictum definitely gave the writers the chance to make like 20 empires, because the Imperial Nihilists and the Imperium can't see each other. Like, one half of the empire legitimately doesn't know the other half of the empire exists. So it kind of gets you this like story beat that if you think about it, you could have Gilliman's empire and you could possibly have like the Lions empire opposing each other. And not because they actually oppose each other, but just because they're not in contact with one another. And there's like 200 or 300 years of divergence that happens. And then of course, with all of that, you could have like all sorts of other little ones. There's definitely something there that could happen, and it would be neat to see them play with that.
We got Ickbard here with Sphinx gentleman.
So I sent Ickbard's lore. If somebody wants to grab and read it, please. Sorry.
Would you send it on to the house?
Yep.
I can read it. I just have to find it.
Okay.
Oh, this one.
Yes.
This little song that he wrote about.
Oh God. Okay, I said I'd write adorable. It. Read it. I'll do it.
You got to remember the tune of Reading Rainbow.
I don't know what the I've never seen the Reading Rainbow.
Oh, I can.
Okay. Go ahead, Emmy.
Oh shit! Now I'm on the spot, right?
Yep.
Dowies are in the sky. He can fly twice as high. Burn their book, their grudging book, a dowie rainbow. I can drill anywhere. Burn their book, the grudging book, a dowie rainbow. Dowie rainbow.
I love it. LeVar
Burton would be so proud of us right now.
He's going to see this episode and he's going to be like, best podcast ever.
We're going to get on PBS.
And they're going to be like...
The four of us, we're going to have to get like puppets made.
They're going to be like, you guys need to tone the language way down.
They're going to put our felt sonas on Sesame Street.
I'm trying to remember the names of any Chaos Dwarf stuff. God, it's been a while.
Yeah,
I've got the Dowie, which stands for something very different on the internet, but like
they're doing a kiss there. I like that.
They're like staring eyeballs at each other.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice that.
So what are these things called? Manticores?
I really should know, considering I have an entire Chaos Dwarf force.
Yeah,
Manticore,
I don't.
That is a Babylonian
Lamassu.
Yes. Is it a Lamassu? Okay.
Yeah.
Lamassu. It's the Great Lamassu or whatever. Man,
that's right. I think it might be the Lamassu.
Really unusual.
Hashut.
They're all based on like Babylonian stuff.
Yeah, the Chaos Dwarfs are Babylonian.
And they follow Hashut, who is technically the fifth Chaos God.
Oh, like Hashut Copper.
Yeah.
The paint, the Citadel paint. Okay.
Right,
cool.
right. So like when we talk about the Great Horned Rat
being the fifth, he would be the sixth Chaos God.
It's kind of like the fifth Beatle. Like there are like 3 fifth Beatles.
That's true. Is it Ringo? Is it Pete?
Is it Pete Best? Is it Stuart Sutcliffe?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who is it?
No, Ringo is one of the 4. He just came on before there.
Well, they kind of like took Pete out and stuck Ringo in.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's why I like to say
Pete
Stuart
took himself out and they hired Ringo in.
So like only when Stu was playing were they an actual 5-piece band.
Right.
Right.
All right, let's not get off track.
No, it's fine. I like it. Watch
the movie Backbeat.
All right. So there is Ickbard's submission. Very cool. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just like last time, if somebody wants to jump in and read Micah's lore, that'd be great.
Okay, I can do this one. Let me put this over here so I can. Bloop, there. I had to start with words like this. Durek Mortal was a bitter man. He was not one to laud over his victories, as was standard in the 14th Legion, but he allowed himself to indulge in the hatred of defeat. His predecessor, Opte Vikmolov, was a fool, a headstrong, tactical, and smart leader, but ultimately a fool. The sky had grown dark that day, as does any day the 14th go. Okay, this is how he wrote it. As does any day the 14th go to way.
Go to war, probably.
Yeah, probably
Oh,
go
the
to war.
14th. Go.
Yes.
The sons
yes.
of Sanguinius stood in their way on a small agri-world, a threat that was overestimated. Thunderhawks had landed a contingent under Molov's command planetside in search of a suitable location for landing of a larger force. But the Blood Angels had beaten them there. The two forces clashed. Bolt shells rang. Volkite flared, and the sounds of battle could be heard all throughout the night. The two dreadnoughts clashed in the midst of ruins, the ancients within fueled with rage. Duroc barely heard his vox speaker among the midst of battle. My rhino is moving forward towards the marked objective. Sergeant Duroc, follow our trail and cover us. Molov had said. It was a stupid idea, trying to rush in to a captured point whilst enemies still covered it. Duroc willed his squad forward, marking enemies on his tactical layout and taking snapshots at a few. The Blood Angels had employed a force heavily utilizing jump packs, and they proved difficult targets to pick off. Vic's rhino picked up dust ahead of him, further adding to the fog of war. Within a moment, jump pack troops had dropped in front of the rhino and let loose a trio of melta-bombs. The bombs connected, blasting the front of the APC into slag and stopping it dead in its tracks. Vic piled out, followed shortly by his poisoner squad. They were quickly surrounded by the loyalists and stood little chance. Duroc's squad was still a ways off, but they tried their best, picking what targets they can. A portion of the crowd ahead thinned, and to Duroc's horror, he witnessed a Blood Angel wrench his blade from Vic's torso. The rivers ran red on the agri-world that day. You lucky fool, Duroc said as he watched the machine begin to move. The giant war engine stood on its two legs and flexed its claws before taking a staggering first step forward. You took my detachment. A deep, metallic voice rang out from inside the machine. There was absence that needed to be filled, Duroc said flatly. You're welcome. You have my thanks, said the dreadnought. After a pause, he spoke again. Come, show me to the enemy. I have much rage to quench.
I like this model a lot. I generally encourage people to kind of get it a little bit more into the grimdark painting scheme stuff, and this definitely hits that.
It looks, I get the impression of it being a old statue with the paint chipping off, and it's, I sort of get that feeling.
Getting that like patina and that sense of like texture in the paint, you don't always want that. With Nurgle, you do.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And it could be hard to do it on purpose sometimes. So
yes,
yeah, all the mud on the bottom of the cape's really awesome. But
I
paint
really
the
like
rim
that.
of your base.
always.
You do get us. We do judge a little bit. So
are we actually? We were also going to give our
Yeah,
each of us are going to give our and why, right? Okay.
Yep. All right.
Okay, cool.
So next up is Mog Toast. Mog Toast also sent me some lore. Give me 1 second to pull it up here. The moon hung low in the night sky, veiled behind thick clouds. Below its shadowy glow, the cemetery sprawled like a forgotten city of the dead. Stones crooked with age jutted from the earth like jagged teeth, their inscriptions long worn by the passage of time. A faint chill lingered in the air, and the only sounds were the rustle of the wind and the soft cawing of distant crows. Perched atop a broken mausoleum, a figure draped in flowing robes the color of violet web caps that grew upon the fallen trees of her childhood home. Her greenish pale skin almost glowed in the dim light, the eerie hue broken only by the faint shimmer of her long white hair, touched with the softest tints of purple. But it was her eyes, or absence of them, that captured attention. Pierced through by golden spikes of a crown, her empty sockets faced the void, though she saw much more than those with sight. She saw the crone, an ancient elf. I'm sorry. They're just called elves. You don't pronounce the A. An ancient elf who no longer needed eyes to witness the world. A necromancer of renown who did not merely call upon the undead, she controlled them. Below her, the earth shifted and something stirred. The crypts groaned in response to her command. With a slow, deliberate motion, she raised her scythe, a massive weapon compared to her small frame, and crafted from metal whose origins and designs had long since been lost. It gleamed in the moonlight, humming with power as it swayed through the air. The blade glowed with the deep purple and blues of forgotten sorcery, a bond between her and the restless dead. As her scythe cut through the air, a mist rose from the ground. A soft rumbling began, the sound of ancient bones creaking, awakening, wood snapping, sarcophagi fracturing, a squeal of metal bending from strength unseen. From the stone beneath her feet, a spectral figure began to emerge. It rose slowly, phantasmal, bound in death and compelled by her will. A low, mournful wail filled the graveyard as the spirit took form. Its eyes locked onto its summoner, awaiting instructions. The crows were the first to arrive, the harbingers of the dead. Their black feathers cut through the gloom, perching upon gravestones, tree branches, and statues alike. They cawed with anticipation, their gleaming eyes watching the ceremony unfold. They knew death well, and where the crone went, they followed, eager for their share of the spoils. With a mere thought, the elf's wings unfurled, dark as the abyss, drinking in the light. Her massive wings stretched wide, a symbol of her divine favor. The god she served, one who ruled over the veil between life and death, had gifted her these wings as a mark of her power. They rustled lightly, as though responding to the soft murmur of the wind, and then folded back behind her with an unnatural grace. Rise, she whispered, her voice dry as autumn leaves, yet filled with undeniable authority. The earth trembled again, and from its depths came not just one spirit, but dozens. The soil split, and skeletal hands reached skyward, crawling from their resting places, the dead answering her call. They pulled themselves from their graves, clattering in unison. Their once lifeless forms now moved by strings of her magic. The ghostly figure, now fully formed, glided closer, its empty gaze fixed upon her. It was a shade of a human, perhaps a ruler long forgotten, his form more spectral than fixed, a mark that his soul had been at least in part feasted on by her master, but released for a greater purpose. He bowed his head in subservience. Your kingdom rises again, the crone murmured, her lips curling into a smile, her teeth, or what was left of them, long and jagged. But it serves me now. As the undead army gathered before her, the crows grew more restless. Their cawing filled the air, a haunting symphony that mixed with the rustle of bones and the moans of the resurrected. The crone gazed over her new legion, her eyeless sight piercing through both past and future. Visions of battles yet to be fought flickered in her mind, glimpses of the death she would soon unleash. The master smiled upon her this night, and under her command, the graveyard was no longer a place of rest. It was a battlefield awaiting to be awoken, its soldiers ready to march at her command. The crows took flight, swirling around her like a dark storm. Their wings beat in time with her heart, as the crone, necromancer, prophet, and harbinger descended from her perch. The world would tremble beneath the weight of her undead army, and she would be its grim conqueror. So really cool that we've got an Age of Sigmar submission, one. Mm-hmm. Two, holy crap, apparently we need to do a writing contest too.
Yeah, that was good.
It was pretty good.
Metal, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot about this model I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a really cool model. This is a really cool paint job and a really cool model.
I want to put out there what this is not a negative to anyone because nobody did this, but in past painting contests that I've judged, and I haven't judged one for a while, people were getting all inventive with lighting. Don't get inventive with lighting, please. Just do it like these all were. Mm-hmm. You know, either good studio lights or natural light. Yeah. So we don't get confused with, is that OSL, which by the way, this has, or is that OSL? Is that dramatic spotlight that's coming from your colored light that's fooling us into thinking it's OSL? We actually want to see your guys' great paint jobs. We don't want them either obscured or colors changed or anything like this because you're using some sort of like cool colored backlight and front lights and all that, so these are great.
Yeah, there's an art to taking pictures, and there's a couple of great people online. One of the things that I'm planning on doing, I know that kind of a weird place to throw this, but since we won't really have another place to talk about it, I'm going to put it here. There's a creator I follow who specifically has like a backdrop that they printed that is, man, my brain doesn't want to think, like a battle scene, like a piece of art from the 40K universe that she has in the background, and it's specifically slightly blurry. And then she has some terrain in front of that, which is on a different plane that is also slightly blurry. And then she has the model on a black surface in focus in the front. So you essentially get this like kind of depth of field, but the depth of field you're seeing is related to the model that's being photographed. It's really cool. We love to see stuff like that's cool. Yeah, but trick lighting, not that we're going to point fingers at anybody in particular, but trick lighting can definitely throw off what you have or haven't done. Now, the exception is if you paint a glow in the dark model, we're going to need to see that it's glow in the dark.
Oh, definitely. But
Yeah.
All right.
Infinite blacks are really cool too if you can pull them off. I've done a couple of infinite black shots. They're hard, but they're really cool. All right, Drew, can you take this one?
All right. So we've holy cow.
Oh yeah, this is another big one.
This is quite the brief.
All
right. So begin encrypted message by authority of Archmagos Delta 4 Vince 1. It's Da Vinci.
What?
Planet Seraphix under attack. Threat, Chaos Knight, and Iron Warriors. Surprise attack. High King, dead. High Queen, dead. Multiple knights fallen. Requesting aid. Now, is this a hard C or a soft C? I've never be sure.
I think it's a soft. Cerastus. Yeah.
Cerastus Knight, STC. Strategic value, absolute. Requesting aid, none available. 999 M41 shortly after the fall of Cadia and the ripping of real space off in the west of the galaxy in Segmentum Pacificus, a night planet of the name Seraphix is under siege. Seraphix. Moon orbiting the planet is connected to the surface by a space elevator, allowing both quick transportation of resources and serves as the system's greatest bastion and forge world. If it were to fall, or worse, fall to the hands of the archenemy, it could become a bastion that could set up an invasion of an entire Segmenta. Baron, Imperial Knight Pilot, Arcuid. This is a combination of vowels and consonants that I find confusing.
Hold on.
Arcuid. Arcuid?
Well, let's see. He's going for Da Vinci.
Yeah. Arcuid? Is this angelic?
Arcuid, probably. Yeah.
Arcuid. Imperial Pilot Arcuid. Knight name, Millennium Castle. Knight chassis, modified Dominus pattern Knight Cerastus part incorporated. The archenemy has perverted Seraphix by launching an invasion during the planet's most sacred holiday, in which the High King and Queen graces the peasants with their presence to announce the house's newest knight pilots. During the ceremony, the sky tore open, causing panic to not only the peasants but the rulers and Magos. Though the house's premium defender was present, the sudden appearance caused panic to the ill-prepared warriors, causing the death of the rulers and scattering both the knights and the AdMech forces. Two locations of strategic importance are left to fight over, between either the protection of the space elevator that would at least give the defenders a chance to defend and await for rescue, or to defend the house castle keep, where the remaining knight suits slumber awaiting command, and the house's greatest relic, a knight Porphyrion, awaits to pilot. The Baron of the Northern Keep was mounted on Millennium Castle when the attack launched, allowing her to keep a minor AdMech outpost secure from a probing war dog attack. The only information she was given was the death of the house rulers and missing heirs. If their deaths were true, then the new queen would be needed, and the AdMech higher-ups would need to make for a perfect sponsor for her ascension. With a small cohort of AdMech forces and brave peasants armed with slug throwers, they matched the space elevator. The castle may fall, but the bastion would survive with her firepower. The fellow knight may sneer at her choice. They wouldn't dare sneak up if the Admech were at her back. Though her band of fighters was small and weak compared to Chaos Marines, her overbearing fire support swept them away, for iron brakes when bent. As she matched to her goal, she was blasted her voice across the land. It was a call to arms to all the lords and ladies, even to the peasants that wished to gain favor with the Emperor in death flocked to her banner. Her arrival to the space elevator was met with an Iron Warrior siege. The warhost carved a path straight to the gate of the elevator, causing the Chaos Marines to lose an entire flank for a brief moment as the knights pierced to their goal. The Magos promised a small window to enter the fortress, lest the arch-enemy seep inside. Skitarii and peasants died in service to guarantee the salvation of the knights and Magos. Several planetary rotations. With the endless siege, many knights may have been wounded or completely fell. Only Millennium Castle stood tall, with enough defiance to hold off the Iron Warrior's siege beasts, but each victory cracked and fractured the steed. As the final relentless push from the Iron Warriors bombarded a gate leading to a breach, Arsioid and Millennium Castle stood fearless if she was to meet the Emperor, and she would least make the traitors experience true fear. At the brink of oblivion, a thunderous roar swept the battlefield. On the horizon, the greatest steed stood over the battlefield. The knight Porphyrion, awoken from its slumber, marched to save its home from the backing of the surviving houses and archmagos. As quickly as the lance appeared, it blew away any and all traitor resistance. Buenosed to the Bastion's defenders, a crusade of surviving knights and Admech forces were pushing the enemy off the planet, only leaving the Bastion siege host remaining. Though Arsioid may not be the planet's savior, her heroics couldn't be ignored. She was still the paragon that served the machine god's servants and his greatest planetary bastion in the system. And when the time came to crown a new ruler, she would have fractured the planet into civil war. With so many fallen, it would have made the houses vulnerable again. But with the threat of scheming Magos, she gave a proposition to the rider of the Porphyrion, a simple marriage proposal to keep the lords, ladies, and Admech happy and unified. Now she rules in unison with a High King as High Queen. Now they lead the house for revenge and save surrounding systems from Xenos and heretics alike. That is quite the story. I really like that. That's a lot of, that's what you need for a knight house, right? You need some like grand epic. So I enjoyed that. That was really cool.
I like all the freehand on this model a lot. I also like the weapon glow.
Oh yeah, that's a good detail.
Yeah. I also like it. Looks like the war dog crushed underneath actually has a chaos head too, which is pretty neat.
Another solid base too. I'm really happy to see people really. I
like the base.
Really great bases.
Yeah.
Base is great. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have semi-serious nerd. July 1st. Today was my turn to go back out to the lighthouse to swap shifts with Ducats. However, due to the raging storm, it seemed that we will be delayed a few more days. July 16th. Today, the waters have finally calmed down, so the crew and I awoke at 5 a.m. to load up the Fantasia. The Fantasy. Yes, Fantasy. I like it. To load up the Fantasy with all of our supplies I'll need for the next 2 months. We should be there before nightfall, and we just hope that Ducats is all right after the storm. We departed the port at noon, and finally the rock station was finally within view at 9 p.m. However, we knew something was off as the lighthouse was dark, so we blew the steam whistle to try and make contact. However, there wasn't any response. After a few minutes, we fired a flare to try and make contact once more. However, there still wasn't any word from Ducats. Worried, I was lowered down on a rowboat and quickly made my way to the station. Upon climbing up the stairs and seeing there wasn't any sign of life, not in the lighthouse and not in the residency, I lit my lantern and approached the residency first. All of the doors were closed. There wasn't any sign of someone living there. No dishes in the sink, nor was there any sign of anything being cooked, as all of the previous supplies sat in the refrigerator. There wasn't any sign of anyone entering the building for at least a week based on how much dust had grown over all of the furnishing. I ran up to the lighthouse, hoping to find someone at least, but oddly enough, there wasn't anyone there either, almost as if Ducats had suddenly disappeared. Everything else seemed to be in the place it was supposed to be. However, the only sign that Ducats had been there was his logbook going back to May, when he swapped shifts with me. The last few entries seemed to be the most confusing. Logbook entries, July 5th. Clear, light southerly breeze today, quite warm and pleasant, no boats. 6. Heavy northerly wind and is clear and warm. Launched the boat and went to one of the moorings and tried to catch fish. Not even a single bite. 7. All hands well and anxiously looking for the boat to bring relief keeper. 8. Clear. Northerly wind is clear and warm. Getting impatient, but painting the lighthouse. 9. Clear night. Cold northerly wind. Full moon. 10th. Clear night. Colder northerly breeze. Full moon. 11th. Full moon. Very dark. 12th. Full moon. Extremely dark. Freezing cold. Trying to light lanterns and it's not working. 13th. Full moon. Freezing cold. Very dark. Hoping help comes soon. 14th. Full moon. Losing consciousness. Please send help. Confused and unsettled, I continued looking around and still couldn't find any signs of him. I quickly left the lighthouse and rowed my boat out to the Fantasy, but it was gone and there wasn't a single boat in sight. 15th. Full moon. Clear. Freezing northerly wind. Pitch black. I like how many full moons there are in a row. So this is very, very cool. Is that Cthulhu?
I really like this. We're talking about like again, something having sort of a textural element to it. This definitely, like the skin definitely has
lots of texture in the wings.
Yeah.
This
I
is
like
one
it.
of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
The shading and the definition on the muscles.
I mean, let's be
looks really
honest.
cool.
These are all really talented.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you guys win or not, these are all really good.
Yeah,
And
you-
we
you
all
guys
had our
made our
favorites
job
for
hard.
different
Yeah.
reasons.
Mhm.
All right. And last up, we have Sol Voltelix, who painted a. This is a named character.
Yeah, that's
Crap.
that's Ab Boy.
Yeah. Sengar.
Miss
Oh, excuse me.
Miss-
Sangaris? Sengius?
Mr. Abs. Mr.
Yeah,
Abs.
Mr. Abs.
No,
there we go.
Sorry.
It's out.
El Senor Abs.
I should really know. I like his name should be higher on my brain list, but it's not apparently.
It's what's his name? It's
Yeah. It is. It's the Sanguinor. There we go.
Sanguinor. Blood Dad.
Blood Daddy. So it's very, very cool. Yeah, Mr. Abs. There you go. There's your ab shot. All right. So with all of the submissions, and Sol did not write us lore. He very cheekily told me that if I wanted him to write lore, he could send me the Wikipedia page, and I was like, we'll get there later. So with all of the submissions reviewed, let's go ahead and go over the scores as far as our community goes. So first up, in first place with 28 points as far as community voting goes is Neko Omegon.
Nice.
In second place with community voting is Handicrafts. Is Handicrafts.
Yeah.
third-
Battletech representation.
Hell yeah. In third place with 18 points is Ickbard. I am really bad at the clicking today. Is Ickbard. In fourth place with 13 points is Mog Toast, which was this really cool blind elf lady.
Yeah, I really, really like this one.
In fifth place is Fabulous Bill with Rot Gut. In sixth place is Semi-Serious Nerd with his Cthulhu. One day. There we go. Lots of submissions this time, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then we've got Micah in ninth place with his Death Guard guy. And we've got, not ninth, with 9 points. And then with 8 points, we have Sol Volitix with his Sanguinor. There we go. All right. So, Emmy, I have your scores down first. So, I'm going to throw you in the hot seat. So, go ahead and let us know, or let me get to your third place submission. And then you can go ahead and give us a couple of reasons why you picked. Oh, and give us a little bit of a review.
Okay.
So, Emmy, here we go. There you are.
Okay. So, Fabulous Bill, which is actually Fabius Bile. I know your secrets.
He's
This
fabulously
is a
Bill.
really, really cool piece. I really like the buff, green, and red that you picked. It's really good color placements. I really like the placements of the color. I think my only pieces of criticism here are I would just have liked a little bit less of the streaking effect on the buff part. It can be a little bit hard to tell, like, is this just kind of pooling contrast, or was this like an intentional streaking effect? And I think I would have liked to see just, maybe just a little bit of a highlight of something like Evil Sun Scarlet or something, just the faintest little dry brush of just a slightly lighter red tone on the tank treads, just to kind of pick up the relief on the tank treads. But overall, I was really impressed, and I think this is fantastic.
All right. And then for your second place, let's come over to Semi-Serious Nerd.
Okay. Super cool job, man. This is really awesome. I've really liked the way that all the muscle groups are shaded. I really liked all the contrast here. Just overall, the only little piece of critique I have here is just everything, especially with the way that the base is, everything is very dark. And I would, if you did like crazy glowing red eyes or something on the model, it would have just provided the pop and the contrast overall that this needs. Like, I feel like if you took the highlights on the wings just like this much lighter and did a little something with the eyes and maybe hit that top part of the upper thigh on the model with just a little bit lighter highlighting, I feel like this would just have a little bit more of visual rhythm, if you will. But overall, this is an incredible job, and I am super impressed. Amazing work.
From a photography standpoint, it looks like you might be getting a little bit too harsh of a white light onto your model too, so we might be missing some color depth. If you don't have a diffuser panel, you can always use a piece or two of tracing paper to diffuse light, or even a piece of paper towel. Just over
my
the
personal
light.
favorite is if you have parchment paper.
Yeah, parchment paper is really good too.
Parchment paper is heat resistant as well, which is nice.
All right, and for
don't use wax paper. That's the one thing I'll say. Is a lot of people go to wax paper. Don't use wax paper.
Yeah, right.
It's coming from a lighting guy.
First place, Emmy, is Ickbard.
Ickbard, yes. Okay, so one, I'm very pleased that you chose an Age of Sigmar model. Love to see a square base. I thought that all
technically
of
Old World, right?
Technically
it's
Old World.
Yeah.
Except I don't think they have chaos
fantasy
dwarfs in
setting.
the Old World.
No, not anymore.
Fantasy setting. Look.
Yeah, I got you.
I really like the way that you picked out all of the detail on the wings and the feathers. That's very impressive. And it is very challenging to make blue flesh look lifelike and lived in. So the fact that there's kind of like appropriate highlighting and contrasting, I've done body painting in that color before, and let me tell you, it is not easy. It is hard. Appreciate all the awesome detail on the face, and just overall that like dark red hair and wings with the blue flesh and the gold accents is like color scheme chef kiss. And the Reading Rainbow song really really brought us in, I think. So overall, this has my top pick.
Very also, awesome. The people are almost certain that Chaos Storms are coming to AOS.
Yeah,
in the near future.
Yeah, that's why I haven't based any of mine
technically,
yet.
this is a Warhammer Fantasy model because it's a Warhammer Fantasy model, so it's really old school.
Yeah, this is a very old model. Really cool. I've got one too. Both Ickbard and I have been kind of geeking out in the background on all of our Chaos Dwarf stuff. But all right, Drew, you're in the hot seat.
Yeah.
So your third place went to Mr. Neko Omegon. There we go. So hit us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot deny the sheer amount of freehand. If you're opening up panels and painting freehand on a night, you get extra points from me.
Absolutely.
And you know, like the fact that we went with some very uwu anime girlies, I think that's super fun. I think, you know, like especially like there's a huge history of like sort of like mechs and knights in
anime.
In anime, you know, God, what's the name of it? There's a bunch, but
Escaflowne,
Escaflowne is the one.
Escaflowne
is the one that comes to my mind first.
Every anime has big stumpy robots in it.
Big eyes, small mouth, big robots.
Well, I mean, specifically knights, which is why I'm thinking of Escaflowne, and like also like there's a little bit of like Berserk in there and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like this. Just generally, like I like the palette. Blue and yellow are best friends. You know, that like I know like sort of like the background about like how this is sort of like some real like high fantasy. These are all like royals and aristocrats, really like very like, you know, proper, so that you can really get a sense of why the heraldry is so important. So yeah, I really like it. It was very well executed.
All right, so for your second place, you went with Semi.
Yes.
Wow, I'm just really bad at the clicking today.
I will quickly say about this one that Emmy covered it very well. But I mean, like the thing for me is that obviously there was a very intentional technique with like the brushstrokes, and I think it really works really well on this, and especially in the scale. I think it looks really cool. Yeah, huge love for this. Also, it doesn't hurt that like the color palette that he chose for the skin is absolutely what like one of my favorite colors is that deep green blue. I'm definitely with Emmy on the eyes. The eyes, like you want more textural difference, but more importantly, you want more saturation, right? Like just making it lighter, I think washes it out a little bit. I would hit this with like some fluorescent inks or something over top, like fluorescent magenta, to make it really pop, and then just do little highlights of white on the very tips of like the pupil and stuff like that to sell it. But yeah,
I think you really need to have this lit from the front more. There's too much reflecting off the back. You're getting haze on it. I'm just saying, just like we've said before, I think it can be a little bit more. It's stuff's either in shadow or there's haze because it's blowing out your aperture on whatever you're using. There's too much reflecting off the back.
Yeah,
this is a soft light box, but yeah, the light's a little too harsh. I think the things that we've suggested, like putting some kind of diffusion on the actual lights themselves, if you can do that,
maybe even shooting on black
exposure.
I shoot on black. Yeah,
I would love to see this reshot. Just
me too.
Semi,
if you
please.
can reshoot this, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
All right, you gave your first place to Mog Toast.
Again, mad props to some solid base work here. Like it really came alive for me when I started paying attention to things like the marble in the arch, how everything has sort of like its own sort of like textural elements between the rocks, the clothes, the wings, the shading, the free hand along the cape there, like absolutely beautiful. It's just like especially with these like fantasy models, the beauty really is in the detail. Like it really comes alive then, and you can really tell there's a really great eye to detail here. And then of course, like the glowing ghost is just extra points.
Yeah, it was really awesome. If I could give any feedback, like minuscule feedback on top of, maybe like a red dot, like a really, really bright red dot in the crow's eyes would have been neat to see, but very cool model. All right, Chalk, you are in the hot seat. So let's go with your third place, which is Mr. Fabulous Bill.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
You are correct.
My third place
is Neko Omegon. I'm sorry.
Yes. I know who I voted for.
There we go. Yeah, no, that's good because even though I wrote it down,
even
though I've got notes, apparently I can't read.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, Neko, I've done a lot of nights. You can.
Yeah, I think they're dope.
You see a bunch over there. So that gives me both an appreciation for what you've done and being a little nitpicky. First of all, let's get the obvious out of the way. Your freehand stuff is excellent. I think it's good that you went with an anime style for the freehand for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm a weeb. Well, okay, I'm not a weeb, but let's go there anyway. And also because the strong black lining makes the freehand really stand out, and you just skipped off it. There we go.
Yes.
So that was really good. I think your base was good. The colors and everything is really good. My major criticism is that your paint looks a little too thick. And I know what the problem is. At least I think I know what the problem is. I actually won. I'm assuming that a lot of this was done without an airbrush on the flat panels. It's really hard to do flat panels without an airbrush. I actually won the first ever painting contest with a night that I did without using an airbrush. And it is a pain in the butt to get those armor panels looking good because it's like, you thin them too much, you're like trying to glaze, that doesn't work, or you put too much, it gets too thick. My little comments are some more maybe edge highlighting around the armor panels would make them pop more. So like, the red panels just look red. There's not a lot, I don't see a lot of definition. And that was the one thing, if the paints were a little thinner and there was like a little bit better with the edge highlighting on some of them, I would have definitely voted you higher. But I think this is excellent. I love the basing. I love it all. But yeah, especially look at the yellow guns. It's just, it looks, the paint looks thick on them. So that would be my major criticism.
Yellow is really, really.
Oh yeah, yellow doesn't cover.
Yeah.
Paint them white first.
Yeah.
Yes,
paint
I
white
always
first.
do kind of like a warm tone white and then add my yellow afterwards.
Yeah.
And kind of almost dry brush a layer of it on first.
For whatever. Okay, so if you get a good white, it's very heavily pigmented and will cover. Usually yellows are not heavily pigmented because when you try to do that, they tend to be more pastels.
Yeah.
So yellow tends to be just doesn't cover that well. So paint them white first. I'm about to do a bunch of iron hands and I'll be doing hazard strikes. I'm painting over the metallic first with white and then with yellow over that.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
all right, so your second place was Mog Toast.
Yeah, this was just excellent. This was excellent. I don't really have much in the way of criticism. I really like the unified color palette. I love the way the wings were done. They look really good. The freehanding on the bottom of the cloak is great. The cloak itself, there's color variations in the cloak. It was really cool. The minor criticisms I had, sort of like you've got OSL from the Ghost, which I really like, but I think the Ghost is too dark to look like it's actually casting OSL. So I would think I would have gone to punch up the colors on the Ghost a little bit to give that. I know it does look phantasmical and it just doesn't look like it's glowing, but I really liked it. If you'd done the eyes on the crows, I think that would have been great. I don't really, the marble was wonderful. I mean, this is a really good. This is a really good paint job. So I'm nitpicking because I had to pick somebody for first and I had to pick somebody for second, and you got second. Sorry.
It happens.
Yeah.
All right. So first, your first place went to Ickbard as well.
Ickbard. Damn, man, your skills have really increased. The hair in the ringlets with the copper beads and the red hair is just great. The detail on the actual Chaos Dwarfs and, their beards and all right there next to the, whatever we are calling this thing.
Alamasu.
The wings are great. Like Emmy said, the blue on the flesh, but it's not just blue. You've got underpainting with greens to picking out the different folds of the flesh. You've got good shadows there, and then going over it with blue. The blending in the dwarfs' helmets. I mean, this is just a really good job. Criticism, I would have liked a little bit more maybe done with the base. That's my criticism. So take that for what it's worth. The base is a little plain. It's just got, you've got him standing on his tactical rock or whatever you want to call that little piece of terrain that it came with. And then you basically painted it black and brown and put 4 tufts or 3 tufts of grass in it. If you put like if you'd done like some dirt texture and stuff, like lapping up on that statue it's standing on and did that, it only would have been better, but it's still great. So there you go.
All right. Well, for my third place, we're going to go over to Micah. So Micah, I really like everything that happened. I really like everything you did with this model. I know a little bit. We all know a little bit about what happened. Micah is getting ready to rim the base with black, and he dropped the model, and it broke into like 4 pieces. And he had to glue it back together and fix a bunch of paint job stuff.
Oh,
it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
I actually did not know that story.
It happened in my Gene Stealer night like 4 times. But yeah, it's the things that I really like. I really like all of the weathering and the attention to weathering, especially the build up. There's a lot more of the mud and build up and kind of grimdark texture on the base and on the boots. It really looks kind of disgusting and almost sticky, and it's a matte paint job. So it's really cool to me that it looks disgusting and sticky and not shiny, because sometimes it can be really, really hard to get that disgusting sticky look and have it not just be like, oh wow, it's super glossy for no reason.
Yeah.
Always hit your models with your matte varnish at the end.
Yeah. I also really, really like that it's a 30K model, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I really like this model. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more finishing on it, rim that base in black or whatever your color it was. And then, a little bit of the things that I kind of knew you were going for but we do get it, things get dropped. Really happy to see that you submitted the model anyway, fixed it and submitted it. That's super awesome. All right. So for my second place, we are going to go to handicrafts. So first off, I do have to say it was really, really hard for me to pick my third place, my second place, and my first place. And I ended up kind of going with my gut reaction, just like looking at everything and going with a gut reaction. I just want everybody to know that I love a lot of these paint jobs. If you didn't end up in my first, second, or third, and I think everybody else has kind of echoed this, your paint job's still really awesome.
Yeah.
You made our job hard. But what I really love about this one is, one, I know how small these figures are. I mean, again, this mech is about the size of a Space Marine. I really love the camo pattern that's on it. I think it really stands out well. I love the panel lining. It's really well done. Yep. I also really like the addition of the teeth underneath the cockpit. I think that's super cool. If I were to provide any feedback, and this is entirely coming from a Warhammer 40K painter and modeler perspective, or not just 40K, but like that's kind of our D&D and all that. I would have liked to have seen some texture on the base, but I realize that there is a good chance that that's something in BattleTech
That's not common in BattleTech.
Which I kind of figured that was probably the case. The other thing is I'm not good at it, so I'm always really impressed when people do lens flare or lens reflections. And I know you didn't do it, but I also know how small those lenses are. So those are the only things. Otherwise, I really love this model. I think it looks very cool. I would love to have it. And I'd love to be able to reproduce it, but I don't think my skill at small scale is anywhere near this good.
Hey, I'm coming from somebody who paints a lot of. Actually, I primarily paint small scale now.
Yeah.
I was really good.
You paint a lot of 6 mil.
So this is my number 4, just to let you know. Along with 3 other people who are also my number 4.
And that ended up being the problem. Like, I have 3 number 3s. What do I do? All right. So my first place is also going to go to Icbard. I pretty much don't have anything on top of what these guys would say. That the hair blew me away, the feathers blew me away. The fact that you got copper and red to contrast off each other when they're really, really common, very not common, but they're very, very similarly linked warm colors, I think is really great. They read as different colors, which is super awesome. Now, I think I see that you went for a resin pour for the mud on the base.
Oh yeah.
I would have liked to see it just a little thicker and maybe with some like goopy stuff in it. I like little leaves or little twigs or whatever. But like, I'm not a resin pour guy, so I could be talking out my ass.
You're 100% right. What he did,
yeah,
I did not catch it.
It definitely looks a little bit red, but I love seeing when people do resin pours. So that's the primary thing.
Take away my criticism about you should have put what you should have done is put some texture under the resin pour and then poured the resin on top of it.
Yeah.
The same goes with like the square edge. It reads a little weird when you do that. So he's built up a raised edge.
To pour the resin. That explains why it looks so weird.
Exactly. And I know to your eye when you do it, it looks like mud maybe, but like the scale is wrong and your fingerprints show really
I don't
easily in that stuff.
think those are fingerprints.
No, those aren't
I think
fingerprints. That's texture.
Prints?
Yeah, it's a texture.
Okay. I would not go with this kind of texture myself. I would do some kind of just
little rocks or something. Yeah.
Give it something to break that up because it looks unnaturally smooth from the outside. Especially it is one of those things where like when you do that kind of like raised edge around the square, it sort of emphasizes the unnatural shape.
Yeah.
Like try to take advantage of like you've got that space. Don't make a perfect rim. Like cut into it a little bit. Make it seem like pots and pits. Otherwise, it just looks kind of
If you had taken that edge in,
exactly.
so it was pools of resin, not a rim and resin in the center.
Yeah, like a square pool.
But
I also really like the blue and red contrast. I think it stands out really well. I also love that it's not at all how I'm planning on painting mine. Because there's a couple of times that specifically Icbard has been like, hey, this is the color scheme I'm going with. And I'm like, damn it, I have to change mine. No. But no, I love this model. I think you guys all did really well. To go ahead and give you everybody's scores after we voted. In first place that's not how we do it. We do third
backwards
place first, right?
Yeah,
I'm doing
you go
it
third
backwards.
to first. Yeah.
Right. I'm screwing up here. All right. So in third place with 28 points, we've got Mog Toast. Mog, really love this model.
Yeah.
Couple of things that we mentioned, the red eyes on the crows, but I mean, like realistically, you were tied for second in my opinion, and it kind of came down to like choosing so it's you guys made it really hard for us to vote, so yes. Good on you. Like you guys all get a definite one up for that. In second place with 34 points, we have Mr. Neko Omegon. Again, really, really love the freehand. I think, I've never freehanded, so take this with as much salt as you possibly can. The freehand looks a little thick, but I've never freehanded on a model, so don't listen to me. My experience with freehanding is specifically painting texture with acrylic and oils on canvas, where you're trying to make your paint look thick. So don't listen to me.
and not to be that guy, but on your freehand, the girl's wearing too much clothes.
But I definitely can't wait to see more from your Night House. I'm super excited. And send us your Night House lore.
We need to collaborate. I need to get back into painting night stuff. This is giving me wanting to do it.
We do lots of night stuff. We also do lots of listener lore as well. So send us your Night House listener lore. We'd love to go over it and possibly feature it in an episode.
And send me your weird Erebus fanfics.
Just specifically to Emmy.
Yes, specifically to me.
Well, I just sent you a big log edit to the writers.
I know.
No, I started reading that because I was like, oh, Chalk just sent me a bunch of lore. And I started reading it and I'm like, oh, he should have marked this not safe for. Now I'm bothered. Now I'm hot and bothered. Oh my God. All right. And our first place with a grand total of 45 points is Ickbard. Congratulations, Ickbard. You will be receiving a Red Squig trophy. Now, for all of those of you joining us, if this is the first episode you've watched, go back and watch the rest. Ickbard has competed in every single Red Squig challenge since the very first one. This is his first win. So he's you can really, his skill has just gotten awesome. Not only that, but Ickbard is the only painter I have ever commissioned to paint an army for me. So Ickbard painted my Necrons. So definitely, if you guys, if those of you listening, those of you watching this YouTube video are interested, go ahead and reach out to him. I'm not sure if other people who submitted are also commissioned painters. If they are, I'm sure they'll let us know and we will be sure to announce next time. But we do have another painting contest coming up. So you've got a couple of days from the release of this video to join our Discord. You should see the voting will be up. The rules, not the voting. The rules for that contest should be up. We kind of went over all the voting stuff, and you'll have until the Lunar New Year to get those finished pieces submitted to us. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. This is our Halloween 2024 painting contest, and congratulations to our top 3, and congratulations to all of our painters. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you very much.